Joining now from Washington, D.C., representing Georgia's 10th Congressional District, Congressman Jody Hice. Congressman, thank you so much for joining me. Congressman, what's your reaction to the second acquittal of President Joining now from Washington, D.C., representing Georgia. Thank you so much for joining me. Congressman, what's your reaction to the most of us predicted? Joining now from Washington, D.C., representing Georgia's 10th Congressional District, Congressman Jody Hice. Congressman, thank you so much for joining me. Congressman, what's your reaction to the second acquittal of President Trump? I mean, most of us predicted that it was going to end up this way. And then the Democrats have the audacity to still try to claim a victory over what occurred over the weekend.
Well, yeah, I mean, we all knew this was going to happen. Number one, it was an unconstitutional impeachment to begin with. How do you impeach someone who's not even in office? This is just an outrage. We have now the second impeachment from these Democrats, both of them an absolute hoax in every sense of the word. The president rightfully acquitted from both of them, and yet the Democrats somehow claim a victory. This is not only an embarrassment, it sets a very dangerous path for the direction of our country. So that now, evidently, according to the Democrats, someone can be impeached simply because you don't like them. They don't have to have committed any type of high crime or misdemeanor. They can have a poor speech or say something you don't like or just be an individual you don't like. And according to the Democrats' new standard, they can be impeached.
Yeah, it's a little bit confusing as to where they see a victory in this whole situation. I mean, maybe wasting taxpayer dollars is a victory for them. Maybe using this as some sort of distraction is a victory for them. But at the end of the day, I don't think this is going to help them politically. And this is why they went through with it for the second time. I think it's a huge loss for them because this is going to make President Trump stronger.
Well, it will. The people who love President Trump, some 75 million of whom voted for him, they've not gone anywhere. And they watch the way the Democrats are treating unjustly President Trump. And I'll tell you, they're fired up. The base is energized. They look at this socialist, radical, left-wing agenda that has no regard for the law or the Constitution, just going after someone because you don't like them. You add to that in the mix this whole cancel culture scenario that's taking place, and then you just look at what they are doing. One of the most dangerous bills ever. They are about to push in H.R. 1, trying to have radicals in the federal government take over our election systems, which led to this whole debacle to begin with. The American people are fed up with it, and I agree. I don't think this is at all going to help the Democrats. It is going to come back and hurt them. They have kicked the hornet's nest, and now they are going to suffer the bites and stings as a result of their own wrongdoing.
Yeah, and I also think that there's going to be some Republicans that are facing the bites and stings over this impeachment. Those who voted to convict Trump, those in the House who supported impeachment. And then we had some wishy-washy kind of like a little bit of weak-kneed Republican action going on, even from McConnell, where he basically accused Trump of inciting the riot at the Capitol when we know President Trump said the exact opposite. He said peacefully and patriotically walk to the Capitol, march to the Capitol to have your voices heard. And so when McConnell said this out on the floor, I know many people were disappointed, and I saw that on social media and I heard it from friends, and we have video of it. Roll tape.
He was angry he lost an election. Former President Trump's actions preceded the riot were a disgraceful dereliction of duty. The House accused the former president of, quote, incitement. That is a specific term from the criminal law. Let me just put that aside for a moment and reiterate something I said weeks ago. There's no question, none, that President Trump is practically and morally responsible for provoking the events of the day. No question about it. The people who stormed this building believed they were acting on the wishes and instructions of their president.
So Senator Lindsey Graham is calling McConnell out for this. He said, quote, "I think Senator McConnell's speech, he got a load off his chest, obviously, but unfortunately he put a load on the back of Republicans. That speech you will see in 2022 campaigns." Do you agree with Graham?
I do, and I don't know what planet Mitch McConnell's living on. There is a lot of question as to about what he said. President Trump did not incite this thing. This was pre-planned. He should have had seen all of that in the so-called investigation that they had in the hearing. The more information that came forward, the more we were keenly aware of the fact that this was a pre-planned ordeal. There were bombs planted before the speech ever took place. There were efforts and people showing up with weapons and all before the president ever gave his speech. To think that the president incited this is just absolute lunacy in every sense of the word. And I believe, yes, Mitch McConnell will, at some point, be it at the next election or whenever, he'll pay for this. He's just dead wrong in his assessment.